Ronald Allen, managing change through effective communications. Once again, I'm at one of my favorite, I'll even use the expression watering holes, because as you can see, it is certainly splendid with the reserves and a crane just landing back there. Tonight's discussion, staying in the zone. And it's a combination of having another driver in their own car pull up next to mine, and I heard this incredible sound by Gary Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, called Dream Weaver. 1976. Yes, I'm dating myself, but what the heck. Staying in the zone. This is the kind of music, and of course you can Google it, you can YouTube it, Dreamweaver. This is the kind of music that when it plays and you have to stop and get out and go somewhere, even if it's an appointment, you let the music play. You stay in the zone. And as much as it seems obvious, how many of us actually stay in the zone when we accomplish something, when we do something well, when we get an unexpected outcome that delivers the kind of satisfaction, personal gratification, that only the feeling, the inner feeling, it's hard to explain, it's hard to describe, yet it's a personal expression of one's ability to deliver. And I just thought of that because I actually have Gary Wright's album on vinyl at home, which I am going to restore. All my records, and I have to get a new record player because the one I have is broken. And yet I just thought about staying in the zone. You can see behind me and all around me, it's a fallish evening. We're going into the winter, and yet it's still fairly warm. It's unseasonably warm. And some people are already expressing their regrets that summer is over. Stay in the zone. Remember those good days, those hours, those family experiences. Perhaps you were with friends, associates. Maybe you were at a conference. Stay in that zone. What do I really mean by that? If you take any high-performance athlete, if you take those emotional charges that you've experienced in life, you can relatively and quickly remember the state you are in. And when I learned about, and I'm sure he's not the first, Tiger Woods staying in the zone after he wins a championship instead of going off with the crowd and the herd and celebrating, he immerses himself by continuing to practice. So if you're a writer, what if you wrote a few extra pages, maybe even just a few paragraphs? If you're a performer, music, piano, drums. I have a newly acquired associate, Tom, on the project that I'm with, and he's a musician. He teaches the youth. He teaches professionally, privately. He plays in a professional band. He writes music. He is constantly immersed in the zone. Tony Robbins, many of you may know. I call him Anthony. He stays in the zone. Many people who go to conferences, when they come out of the conference, well, life kind of distracts them, right? It's like a rude awakening. It's like as if it was in a dream. They're in the conference, and they're certainly around live people, and the emotions are charged. The capabilities are heightened. Expectations are extrapolated to the nth degree, and yet when we come back into our homes, our families, our work environments, our social community, that high in the zone has been removed. Why do we allow this? If we're going out to adopt a new personality or enhance our personality, but adopt a new way, a method of doing things, I don't think you can go to a conference and change your character. I think you can begin to. I think you can begin to craft what is needed, realize what it'll take. At the same time, it's going to take time. It's going to take a while. So staying in the zone in and of itself is a skill. Think of the basketball players, and I think some of you may have seen and heard or read some of my earlier articles on this. When they practice, they don't practice because they're in the gym, on the field. They don't practice because scouts are watching them. They don't practice simply because they have the ball or whatever apparatus they need. They practice with an desired outcome. I need 100 hoops. I need 100 correct strikes. I remember when we used to fence in school at Prior Park College, and we did do some fencing, which was a lot of fun. What I now remember and reference to being in the zone is that when you parried or lunged, it was a very specific move. The back foot had to be at a certain angle, the right foot, knees bent slightly over the knee, over the toes, the body perpendicular yet centered, the arms thrusting forward, the head a certain position. Everything was very specific. Think about the katas. If any of you do self-defense or ever did self-defense, even judo, especially judo, there is an equilibrium that the body must be in constantly. That is being in the zone. If your child plays an instrument and you are hoping their skills will develop, then there is a balance. There's a required balance. You as the parent, the guardian, mustn't be too pushy, yet you must be firm. The environment must be a certain condition. You can't have a lot of distractions, whatever that might be. You're being in the zone. Now, a lot of what I do share with you is, in some cases, practical common sense. The challenge is to bring it to bear at the right time, at the right level, and consistently. Just as my not doing my live chats every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. Sometimes it's before, sometimes it's afterwards. Sometimes it's not at all. We keep working on it because it's something we enjoy. We wish to improve. Now, I know some people might just say to you, well, if you're not getting it right, don't bother. Well, we are talking about our lives, aren't we? We are talking about the ability to enjoy something, develop it, the three terms I use: create, develop, and produce. And as I've said before in other live chats, the very best in their field will tell you without hesitation, you may not get it the first time. You may not get it the 5th time. You may have to take 100 strikes, 100 attempts. Do you have the stick-to-itiveness? Do you have the fortitude? Are you building the right resources? When we talk about being in the zone, we're talking, how do we sustain the type of effort with the right amount of energy that we need to use in applying to our lives? I've spoken quite a bit about project management. That is heavy lifting, even on a small scale, because you're having to engage with multiple stakeholders and strategize and influence how they contribute to that project. So too with family. In fact, it was my enlightenment, if I can use that term, when I was doing project management, that said, well, this is managing a family. The children, the husband, the wife, their interests, their schedules, their activities, their highs and lows, peaks and valleys of emotional challenges, just like managing multiple people on a project. We talk about adult learning. Well, today, that kind of approach is being pushed down younger and younger age groups because of the level of access to information. Young people today can certainly find out maybe 3 ways to do something, as opposed to when I was brought up, it was primarily a singular way of learning, of acquiring, of application. And I personally found that kind of dry. And maybe that's why I was always bumping heads with my teachers. Today, I feel I was always in the zone. Because the highest levels of any academic excellence will tell you without hesitation, always question your source. Validate. Evaluate. You must have a critical mind in order to survive the world at any time, by the way, at any time. It's just that information is coming at us so quickly. So now I just want to show you something, again, why I'm out here. This is being in the zone. I mean, this is, and I'm gonna do a horizontal thing here. I know it might scare a few. Whoops. Rotate your camera. You can't turn your phone while recording. Okay. It just told me I can't turn the phone while I'm recording. That's customer feedback for get it right. So there you have it, being in the zone. It's a cool evening. It's a Thursday evening. And I just wanted to share that simple perspective. Yet, it crosses all our daily lives, all industries, whether you're pumping out widgets, whether you're making sure that your valves and gaskets are set correctly. Remember when we talk about a gap in the spark plug, for those that remember what a spark plug is? Well, that can be related to pretty much anything we do in terms of how do we approach the issue, how do we apply ourselves, how do we maintain that performance, high performance engines, and are we willing to do it? Because in most cases, in human development, it is, are we willing to learn what it takes to do what we want to get the outcome we desire? So, I'm going to leave you with this little story. And it's a story that I'm really hoping will come to fruition. It's about a woman who had a late start in life, very late start in life, who recently I came across. We met, bumped into each other, and I shared with her a few perspectives, conversations, and she certainly shared with me. In fact, she reads, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Khalil Gibran. He's a poet, philosopher. And I did hear about him maybe 30 years ago, but I have not acquired his reading material. I have now. And I'll tell you, for those who think they can't go on, for those that think life is over because you haven't acquired what you thought you should acquire by the time you thought you should have acquired it, he speaks to us what I would best describe as timeliness, or timelessness. In other words, the timeline we put on ourselves to live life is not necessarily the timeline that within which we will achieve that which we seek. Right? So I want to graduate when I'm 16. I don't, I get discouraged. I want to own a business and for it to be successful by the time I'm 30. I work my tail off, but it doesn't happen. I want to have children and they go to some of the best schools in the world, not just in a country. And my relationship with my spouse fails. The education that I had was supposed to insulate me from the traditional or typical challenges life throws at us. And it never happened. I found myself literally on my knees. This woman shared with me this story, and she said she had listened to one or two of my videos. She listens to many others, certainly more prominent than I. And she said, the only difference is, at the age that most of us are beginning to dumb ourselves down, tune out of life, that's the real richness that we should be kind of skyrocketing. I don't remember the actual term she used, but we should be pushing through those glass ceilings, in some cases concrete ceilings, and looking to utilize the skill sets that we've honed over the years. So if you're not in the zone, you can't do that. If you don't realize that all those challenges, and I'm the first one to say, what about all those that don't make it? That's the challenge. It's the few that pursue and believe they can achieve and cultivate a community that wishes to work through the pain, work through the struggle. Because if you don't, and you're around for a long time afterwards, can you feel the pain? Can you feel the frustration? Can you feel the anguish that you didn't just keep trying, keep applying? You know I don't like the word try, right? Keep applying. It's not getting the goal. It's the attitude we bring in moving the ball down the field, in letting our family members know that this is who we are. That is staying in the zone. This is Ronald Allen, managing change through effective communications. You know where to find me.